What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, going to go over the trades we ended up taking on Friday, as was the game plan going into tomorrow. So going into Friday, market was obviously bearish here. If we look on this 30-minute chart for the puts, actually it's this chart. If we look on this 30-minute chart, 10's above the 50 here on the 660 puts. We picked new contracts on Friday, so we have the 660 puts for the 27th here, and since we're crossed here on the 30-minute, we're bearish and we're looking for trades to the downside. So another thing with this, every single time frame is crossed here. 1 hour chart's crossed, 2 hour chart was crossing, 4 hour chart was crossed, daily chart there was no 50 SMA, so that doesn't really matter. And then if we flip to the monthly contracts over here, which is the Aprils, let me see if I pull the Aprils up. I mean, higher time frames on this, what do we have? 10's above the 50 here, we're crossed on the monthlies. Same thing with like this 4 hour chart, which I went over earlier in the week last week, that when we closed at this spot here the day before FOMC, I just had to favor the downside. Higher time frames are pointing lower, and that's what I'm going to be favoring. We're going to have to regroup after FOMC. After FOMC, we didn't really do much. It was pretty slow, and we just dumped in the end of the day on FOMC day. So that pretty much confirms, okay, we're probably gonna go lower, and that's what we've been getting. And we saw a nice continuation down from that 50 SMA after FOMC. So yeah, I mean, nothing. There's literally been zero signs of any bullishness. So for me, I have not been looking for any longs like the last couple of days. So when it came to Friday, what did we end up taking? We wanted to take a trade to the downside, and we got it. We ended up getting a 0DT cross on puts, which I'll show you guys in a second. I don't have it on this watch list. I'm going to have to drag over a screenshot, but this is what the fibs ended up looking like here on Friday. So we ended up opening, we gapped down. Unfortunately, we didn't get this 66.76 short right here off the open, which I was hoping for, and I think I went over that. I do really like this for an overnight short, because this pop up in here, end of the day on Thursday, ended up dipping us to the 30-minute 50 on the puts, which I just showed you guys here. We dipped down to the 50. This was on that last pop on end of the day on Thursday. So with this being massive support here in the 30-minute, we also have a fib level that we popped up into, and if we got a retest of this off of the open on Friday, this would have been a really good short to take off of the fib, but that obviously didn't end up happening, and we decided to straight move lower to this next fib at the 123.6. And I told you guys, if we got to the 138.2, I probably was gonna, actually no, because that wasn't gonna be the third fib. If we got to the next one down in here, that would have been 100% a long to take. So I was looking for a short setup. So what are your opportunities going into Friday? It's either a retest of the 66.76, or we get a put cross, or we get a break below the next fib and retest. So we end up getting a put cross. There was no break and retest of the 65.96 fib either. So only trade opportunity on Friday was a put cross, and this is what we end up taking. Wasn't much of a move. It wasn't that much. I mean, it still netted like 60 to 70 points here. We just played this 10 cross on the 50 here. I went short at 10.07, and it was pretty much an instant move lower. I pretty much top ticked it. So yeah, we got like around 60 to 70 points, and I pretty much sold all around that like 60 point mark. And then I had small runners, which once we started bounce, I just got out, because we were at this fib level. This fib level down in here, we end up hitting, and that's why I really wasn't looking to hold that much longer, because we're sitting at a fib level right up in here. We could potentially bounce and reverse. So you would have been trailed out anyway once we closed above this 10 SMA. So that was a good point to just sell it. I think I started to sell it once we started to bounce. Yeah, I was all out at 10.15, so that was right as we were starting to bounce right up in here. So that's why I ended up selling it for like 60 points. There wasn't really much of a point for me to hold this. Eventually we ended up pushing back down, but at this point I would have gotten trailed out anyways if I did continue to hold it. And then in the end of the day, we actually ended up just nuking even lower, which we never got like a break and retest of a fib. So that was unfortunate that there was no other short opportunity, but that's what we did on Friday. Literally everything was pointing to lower, and the put cross was your entry to go short. There was no fib traded take on Friday, so 0DT cross is what we ended up going with. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we ended up doing on Friday. Going into tomorrow, I would expect some sort of dip coming up soon, just because, I mean, if we just look on the 30-minute chart on the 660s, I mean, look at how much of a gap there is here. on the premium. I mean, when we start to get this, extended here, eventually this is going to sling back down to the 50, and then it'll decide from there, okay, we're going to hold the trend or not. And then same thing, I mean, with the higher time frames. We're just creating such big gaps from the 50 on all these time frames that eventually it's going to sling back down, and we're going to get a dip. And I'm going to be looking for, if we get a pullback to the 50, if there's a fib that lines up with this 50 SMA, that'll be a nice short to take. And then, if we lose the 50, okay, it's probably just going to wait and see where we go from there, because if we lose the 50, probably going to go back neutral. And when we're neutral, I'm not really looking to do too much. So, like I said, trade opportunity tomorrow. If we get a dip to this 50, look for a fib level to end up, going short off of that if it lines up with this 50. If we don't line up with the 50, I'm probably not going to take it. And then if we just, completely rip tomorrow and we lose this 50, okay, maybe I'll be looking for a 0DT call cross. So that's pretty much the game plan for tomorrow. Look for a dip to the 50. If we don't get that, and if we open even lower tomorrow, then look for this 161.8 fib down here, which would have to be, I mean, it'll be even more of a move lower, but that would be a trade I'm 100% going to be taking to go long if we reach that point. So yeah, I mean, because at this point, if we reach 64, 65, it's going to be super, super extended. I'd give this 161.8 and the 178.6 a try to go long. Even if I take a loss on the first one, I'd be looking to take on the second one, which I doubt. I mean, I doubt we're going to get that far down without any significant pop, but anything's possible, and that's what the game plan is going to be. So if you're looking for longs, look for those two levels. And then when it comes to the shorts, look for a dip to the 50 and a fib level that lines up with that 30-minute 50. So, if we get a pop all the way back up to 66, 76, and that lines up with the 50, perfect. Take that short. 10-point or 11-point stop on ES. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the game plan going into tomorrow. Of course, any sort of put cross would also work, but I'm pretty sure the puts will already open up cross, so that's probably not going to be a trade that there's going to be tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the game plan. That's what we did on Friday. If you guys want to learn, join Discord down below. That's where I'm pretty much at all day. So any questions you guys have, you can drop it in there or drop a comment. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.